Hey guys, today I'm going to show you some solid evidence of advanced weapons from ancient India. Yes, what you're looking at is a carving of a gun, a rifle. If you look carefully, you can clearly see that he's loading a gun. This was the old-fashioned way of loading a gun, where you had to put gunpowder through the barrel and then stick a piper from the top. And you can see that he's doing exactly that in this carving in an ancient temple. Of course, immediately your mind is filled with doubt, isn't it? Is this ancient carving really showing a gun? Maybe it is something else, because ancient Indians could not have used guns, right? So perhaps it is just some other weapon like a spear or even an iron rod or something. But here's another carving in a different temple. There is a bearded man on a horse, and he's ready to pull out his sword. But look below him. What is this guy holding? He's clearly holding a gun and is pointing at the horse rider. There should be absolutely no doubt in your mind that this is a gun, because look at his eyes. He has closed his left eye and has opened his right eye and is aiming for the enemy's heart. If he fires the bullet, this man is dead instantly, right? Yet, he is not shown wearing modern clothes or even medieval clothes. He is shown with just a loincloth in his waist, and his hairdo resembles the ancient Indian hairstyle. But if guns were invented by Europeans just 600 years ago, why do we see ancient Indian carvings showing guns? Are these carvings really ancient? Look at this one. It is now in the Archaeology Museum of Kakinada. There is no official plaque or signboard next to it, but it is said to be 1,000 years old. If guns did exist in India before 600 years, why were they not mentioned in ancient Indian texts, right? Let me read from a text called Manusmriti. Historians say this text is about 2,000 years old. In chapter 7, it says, and I quote, "No one should use concealed weapons, barbed arrows, poisoned arrows, or projectiles kindled by fire." End quote. Projectiles kindled by fire? That is a gun, right? I mean, what else could it be? Why would something like this be written in a 2,000-year-old text? Another Indian text called Naisada Charita also talks about guns. Experts confirm that it was written in the 12th century. The author compares a woman's elevated nostrils to a pair of guns. In fact, many ancient Indian texts clearly mention guns. It was called Nalika in Sanskrit language. But the most interesting information about Indian guns and gunpowder comes from a Greek philosopher by the name of Philostratus, who lived 1,800 years ago. He gives a completely different explanation about why Alexander the Great turned back from India. The standard explanation is that his soldiers became tired of continuous battles and revolted, so he had to go back. But look at what this Greek writer says. Quote, "These truly wise men dwell between the rivers Hyphasis and Ganges." Now, Hyphasis is river Bias and Ganges is river Ganga. "These holy men, beloved by the gods, overthrew their enemies with tempests and thunderbolts shot from the walls." In another place, he mentions how Indians fought armies of their enemies. This is what's written. "They did not show any resistance and appeared perfectly quiet. But when the enemies came near, they hurled storms of lightning and thunderbolts from above, and the enemies quickly retreated." So this ancient Greek text is not only mentioning gunshots, but it's also talking about bombs like grenades being thrown on enemies. Only that can cause lightning and thunderbolts storming from above, right? Is it possible that ancient Indians were using bombs and grenades? But let's be honest, we are rational people, unless someone actually shows an ancient carving of a guy holding a grenade in one hand and him removing the pin in the other hand. We're not going to believe some Greek historian, right? Here's a carving in a 1,300-year-old temple. Look carefully at his hands. What do you see? Immediately, we can understand that it is a hand grenade, a bomb. He's getting ready to throw this on the enemy. This is the lightning and thunderbolt weapon mentioned in that Greek text. Look at it. It's spherical, very similar to the modern grenade. And in the other hand, we can see a ring. This is the pin, the safety pin of the bomb. He's ready to pull the pin and throw it. We know that a grenade is thrown after removing the pin. This safety pin is an essential part of this weapon. And you may think, is this carving a mistake? Was it supposed to show something else? On the other side, again, you can see the same detail. It is fascinating. A spherical grenade held in one hand, and the pin is held in the other hand, ready to be thrown. Now, who is this guy with 10 heads? He's Ravana, the demon king mentioned in the ancient text of Ramayana, which is at least 2,000 years old. In ancient texts, the hand grenade is clearly mentioned as Viragatini Shakti or Parjanyastra, and it is mentioned as a weapon that should be hurled on the enemy, and both hands must be used while throwing it. And when you throw it, it can shatter the enemy into pieces. This is crystal clear evidence that ancient Indians were using bombs and grenades. Such a weapon must have existed in ancient times. Otherwise, how could the sculptor imagine something like a grenade with the sphere and the safety pin 1,300 years ago? In a 1,000-year-old structure called Rani Ki Vav, you can see another carving. Look at his hand. Why is this warrior holding a ball? In his other hands, you can see weapons like the axe, bow and arrow, etc. So this must also be a weapon. But if it's not a grenade, what else could it be? Look at the top. It was not a sphere. It definitely had something on the top. It probably had the safety pin, but unfortunately, it has been destroyed. But all this sounds weird, right? I mean, we all know grenades are modern technology developed in the last few centuries. Wrong. Archaeologists found ancient grenades, yes, actual remains of ancient grenades in Jerusalem, in Israel. What you're looking at is 1,000 years old. Initially, they thought these were just regular ceramic pots, but when they examined the contents inside, they found explosive materials in a certain combination that if this pot was hurled at someone, it will explode. So we have physical archaeological evidence that ancient people did in fact use hand grenades 1,000 years ago. I mean, today we use poppers, little firecrackers that burst and throw it on others to prank them. So how hard can this technology be? When we think about it, there should be no doubt that ancient Indians were using gunpowder more than 1,000 years ago. Diwali, the festival of lights, is marked by fireworks, and this tradition still continues from ancient times. Making gunpowder is surprisingly simple, and it only needs 3 elements: charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter, and all these elements are available naturally in plenty in India. Some experts maintain that ancient Indians did not make gunpowder and Europeans taught them this technology. But there is an ancient text called Atharva Rahasya. It clearly proves that Indians had been manufacturing gunpowder for a long time. This is a quote from the text. As the quality of fire, prepared by the combination of charcoal, sulfur, and other material, depends upon the skill of its maker, so may you, O Goddess Lakshmi, appear quickly before me, proportionate to my fervor and faith. But what if I told you ancient Indians not only used grenades, they also used time bombs? They were able to time the explosion accurately to destroy the enemy. An ancient Persian text called Mujmal al-Tawarik, written in 1126 AD, about 900 years ago, says this. The Brahmins counseled King Hall to have an elephant made of clay and to place it in the van of his army. And when the army of the king of Kashmir came closer, the elephant exploded and the flames destroyed a great portion of the invading force. This clearly proves that they were not only using simple bombs like grenades, but they were also able to time the explosion precisely. The text doesn't give more information about how they timed this, if they used a timer like today, or if they used a long fuse to time the explosion. But this 900-year-old Persian book was actually a translation of Sanskrit books written much before that time. That means ancient Indians used time bombs more than 1,000 years ago. I've shown you a lot of evidence from carvings in temples, from ancient Indian texts, even texts from outside India. I think all these evidences clearly confirm that ancient Indians used very advanced weapons. What do you think? Did ancient Indians use guns and bombs? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.